Let me cut across to the United States, making it a lot more difficult for Indians now to obtain US visa of any form. Getting a US visa just got a lot more tougher for Indians. The US State Department has announced that non-immigrant visa applicants must now book their interview only in their country of residence. For Indians, that means applications can only be scheduled in India and nowhere else. So, third country applications fully banned. Earlier, many Indians would apply in countries like Thailand and Singapore to get a faster visa appointment date because India had long waiting periods. This happened roughly around the time of COVID. That option is now fully closed by the United States. So if you try booking outside India, then your application will be harder to qualify, your fees won't be refunded, and your appointment may even be blocked. The only exceptions here are for diplomats, for NATO staff, and rare humanitarian or emergency cases. So how long is this wait now going to be? Just a rough idea. The average wait time for a tourist or a business visa is about 4.5 months, 4.5 months in Delhi, 9 months in Chennai, 3.5 months in Hyderabad, 5 months in Kolkata, 3.5 months in Mumbai. Student and exchange visas are slightly faster, roughly around 2 months that it would take. Well, this change is aimed at preventing visa shopping across borders, which had started during COVID when India faced huge backlogs. So people would go to third countries to apply for US visa and they got it much faster. But now for most Indians, it means waiting months for appointments because you'll have to do it from India alone. At the same time, we're also looking at the Trump administration now tightening rules on work visas and green cards. H-1B visas may soon follow a wage-based system, which means people who have higher wages or rather are paid higher are more likely to get a H-1B visa as opposed to those with lower wages. Green card and citizenship applicants face stricter checks. Now we hear to get a green card, you may have to go through some testimonies from your neighbors. The US administration now decides to get in touch with your neighbors to see how good you are as a neighbor, and based on that would likely grant your green card. Also, the popular Dropbox interview waiver for many travelers has also ended. Bottom line here is that be it tourism, studies, work visas, H-1B, which Indians are claimants to, a large portion of it, it seems like US is making it a lot more tougher for Indians and foreigners by and large to get visas to the United States. Basically, the aim is to ensure American jobs are secure and to push American talent further. But is it even possible? Is America used to it? Can they do without Indians? Joining me to discuss a little more is Ambassador Yogesh Gupta, former Indian diplomat, also Patikrit Pine, who joins us, foreign affairs expert. Thank you both of you for speaking to News 9. Let me start with Ambassador Yogesh Gupta. Ambassador, give us a sense of what you see here, restricting visa interviews to applicants' home country. Would you believe that this will really impact relations? Will it deter Indians to actually seek US visa extension or visitors wanting to visit the United States from India? Do you feel it will deter people from actually going to the United States? How is this going to make life difficult for Indians here and there?
But it's a part of the overall approach of the Trump administration taking a harder line towards India because of the overall decline in our relationship. They are not happy with, President Trump is not happy with certain things that Prime Minister Modi did in terms of, that ceasefire issue or his invite for him to come to New York, come to Washington from Canada after that G7 meeting. So basically, that old unpleasantness that is lingering on, and since we have refused to make any concessions on this Russian oil issue, the Americans are trying to make things more unpleasant to us on the issue of visas, on the issue of green cards. You just had the discussion in Nepal where, there is some sort of a CIA-backed coup in progress on the patterns of what happened in Bangladesh and Pakistan. So, US is trying to put more pressure on India, trying to make life difficult for this government in India, so that it is pressurized from various sources. So I see it more in terms of geopolitics, more in terms of US unhappiness with this government.
Okay. Well, it's just so unfair, Patrikrit, if this is true that it is Trump's ego being bruised and that he's sort of piling up on Indians by limiting H-1B visas, and importantly now cancelling third-party visa applications or third-country visa applications for Indians. Do you believe this was anyway coming? Nothing surprising. They allowed for third-party applicants during COVID, but it seems like it's now come to a grinding halt, which would mean that almost a 9-month wait for some applicants waiting for a US visa.
Good evening. Yeah, so I think first and foremost, see, these are policy decisions. I think, the Americans can turn back and say, look, this is a universal policy. We are doing it for everyone and not just for the Indians. But it is a reality that a large number of Indians actually take the B1 and the B2 visa, which are temporary visas for tourism or business trips. See, at the end of the day, one thing is pretty clear. So far as the honeymoon of getting visas are concerned, in United States at ease, that era is over. So whether irrespective of whatever happened in the last couple of months, even if that had not happened, the general policy of Trump administration over the last 8-9 months appears to actually project that they would have done it. And I think the non-immigrant visa is probably more like a low-hanging fruit, because that does not impact much of the IT workers who actually go there to work. These are mostly temporary visas. And I think there was a loophole that was being used, so they will turn back and say, look, I have done it for everyone. It's my policy decision. There are two things I want to say. You asked whether it's going to improve working opportunities for Americans. Well, that will not happen. First and foremost, a large number of Indian students who go there, or tourists to go there, or for short-term business visas, they do actually generate a lot of revenues for the American economy. The number of students who go over there, they spend nothing less than $20 to $25 billion annually. So if the Trump administration is okay with losing that kind of revenue, then it's their choice. Secondly, when it comes to creating more jobs in the United States, I don't know how by restricting tourists or business visitors who actually go and stay in hotels and eat out food and buy and do shopping for back home, or how restricting students and business visitors help America. Third, if it is about restricting the number of people who can get jobs in the United States, well, let me put it this way. United States is not a country where you can produce for the rest of the world. The cost of production of a good or service is far higher than what it is elsewhere. That is the reason companies of United States outsource elsewhere else. So if Trump has to bring back jobs into United States, the first and the only thing that he has to do, which he will not do, is to devalue the dollar as a currency. Everything else is a hogwash for a short-term growth. Otherwise, it is not going to help them in terms of bringing jobs. And if for the sake of these things, India should have buttered his ego, opened up the market, stopped taking oil from Russia, well, that is not something any sensible government would do. I think visas, temporary visa, is not something which an Indian or any government will be a priority for them. That for this sake, so that they don't do this, I will open up my market, which engages the livelihood of say 15 crore people. So I think for these things are issues which would have happened. It is ultimately the American economy which will have to bear the brunt. The choice is theirs. Back to you.
Trump says that we want to encourage American talent and push for American jobs to be secure. But the worry is for them, of course for us also, but for them more. Do they have competent talent?
Nabila, let me tell you one thing. If you manufacture an Apple iPhone in United States, it's going to cost them nothing less than $3,500 to $4,000, compared to perhaps $800 for which they manufacture in China or India. Now, if you manufacture an Apple iPhone in $4,000, do you really think they can sell it across the world? Secondly, the kind of effort the IT services guys who do, of Indian origin put in, working probably 10 to 12 hours, waking up throughout the night. Do you think the American psyche is there that they will work like that, slog it when it becomes necessary, they will stay back in the office for days on? You think that mentality is there in the United States? Secondly, programming is something which is inherent, quality. It doesn't come in one day. You can't teach another country how to make semiconductors as Taiwan generally does it because it is embedded in their innovative culture. Same with programming when it comes to Indians. So I think this takes generations to develop. It doesn't happen in one day. Trump suddenly cannot one day ban all from India and tomorrow all the IT jobs get shifted to America, because the pushback will come from Wall Street.
From
the
within.
Wall Street, which is the investors, are
And
not
rightly
interested.
said, just extending that question there to our ambassador, just a quick word on Trump tariffs. We know that the courts in United States have said these tariffs on countries like India are illegal. And if at all the Supreme Court upholds it, then Trump will have to, or the current regime in the United States will have to pay back all the tariffs to these countries. And Trump is already rattled. We hear he's already reaching out, asking the Supreme Court to, in fact, not dismiss his efforts to bring in money into the American economy. So there's another threat there that Trump is facing, that his whole tariff imposition on India and many other countries might just be revoked, deemed as illegal, and they will have to pay all that money back.
Well, Nabila, as you must be knowing, the Supreme Court in the US has judges which are appointed on the basis of political considerations, to which party they owe loyalty. And at present, there is a majority of judges which owe their loyalty to President Trump, appointed by him or favorable to him. So President Trump doesn't expect that the Supreme Court will rule against him.
All right, let's see what happens. But I really appreciate Ambassador Yogesh and Patrikrit for joining us on that.